Welcome back to episode number 87 of Happy Hour with Heather and Guest. I'm that other dude, Andrew. I'm joined as always by Heather. And in
Hello.
saying that, hello. I'm sorry. I always feel like I always cut you off when you're saying your hellos. I apologize. I remember early on when you created this show, I think before I had joined and it had pivoted to being a live streaming focused thing. I wrote a theme song where I said, I forgot what the lyric. It was "Come along and have some fun with Heather and a guest," I think, or something like that. But I remember I said Heather and a guest, forgetting that it was just Happy Hour with Heather and guest. No
and
article.
then and then you kind of turned into my permanent guest.
Yeah, well, navigator, perhaps. You're the pilot. I'm just, I'm just that other dude, which is a title I love, so it's all good. All right, so today in episode 87, it was your turn to suggest a band, and you went with the band Woorms
Yes.
with two O's in the title, which
Yes.
to me personally was a little surprising because of the genre that it wasn't space rock or psychedelic, stuff like that. So,
Well, I'm not going to put stuff on the calendar anymore that you don't like.
oh no,
So,
no, no,
because that's no fun. It's no fun talking about bands that you don't
oh no,
like.
no. I love. First of all, that wasn't. I wasn't trying to suggest anything about. I've loved every single band that you've put on, and if we spend the next 18 months talking about the same genre, that's cool with me. Yeah.
No, it's going to stop.
Well, let me say this is an open invitation to both you and our listeners that I'm down with any genre, even if we revisit the same genre all the time. I love all music. That's just how I roll. Um,
Yeah.
Certain music I'm not as big of a fan of, like since we're going to be talking about a band from Louisiana, there's only so much Cajun Zydeco, for example, that I can listen to before I would rather listen to something else.
Yeah.
Um, but if we wanted to do space rock 6 months in a row, then that's cool. So don't think that you need to bring variety in it for my sake. But today we did leave the space rock psychedelic genre.
Yes.
We went into sludge. So what would you like to tell us about
Yeah.
Worm?
Yes. Louisiana sludge. Yes. And sludge metal is defined as an extreme subgenre of heavy music that combines elements of doom metal and hardcore punk. Yes, yes, and yes. I would say Worms has a bit of noise rock in there too. It's more on the dark and the edgy side. I have their album Slake, and I love it. I do love this band. The cover art is amazing, and the record is blue, and the whole color scheme is blue, and it's just the whole thing is just really nice, very well presented, very well. I saw a comment that said Melvin's 2.0, and I was like, yeah, I could see that. This is another band that has awesome names for songs, and they play a lot on words like Veni Vidi Fucky, Stiff Upper Lisp, Our Lady of Perpetually Shit-Faced, Unicorn Corn, and Heck followed him. I don't know why, but that one makes me giggle. This is pure gold. The music is great too. It's high energy, loud, fun, heavy. My favorite comment on Bandcamp was about their record Twitching as Prey. And it said, this album is sexy as the day is long. And thanks to Wiretap Arts, I could not have said anything better than that.
Absolutely. Um, for those of you out there who don't know, I went to school in Louisiana, in New Orleans. I went to Tulane back in the late 90s. And what's unfortunate is that I wasn't so much into the scene back then because there would have been a wealth of sludge for me to see um, while I was there. But since then, I've sort of really enjoyed the genre, especially the Louisiana sound, because it is unique. Um, I think there are certain regions that are known for their sludge, but none more so than Louisiana. Um, with bands like Crowbar and Acid Bath, um, really sort of trailblazing the way. And I think you can add Woorms after what I've listened to. You can add Woorms to that list. Um, so I saw they had about, I think, 3 full-length albums. Um, so I listened to songs off of each album, and then they have a single that was released this year called Amputation Station, I think, um, which was a little bit more melodic than I would have expected. Not to say sludge can't be melodic, but it sounded like they were kind of adding new elements to their music, which I really dug. And yes, they do phenomenal work with puns. And Heck followed him. What was another one that I had that I thought was really good? You're in trouble now. That was a good one. Urine. And that reminded me when I worked for a theater company after I graduated in New York. There was a Broadway show I got to go to called Urinetown. Urine Town, which I think won the Tony Award that year for Best Musical. And it was about a dystopian society where you had to pay to use the bathroom. And I think the guy who wrote it came up with the idea after he went to France, and there was a bathroom that you had to pay to go to. And he thought, okay, this might be an interesting. So that You're in Trouble Now reminded me of You're in Town. And then, yes, Our Lady of Perpetually Shit-Faced was another personal favorite. And then this was what I got off of Bandcamp just now from Doomed Nation. It said, a great band that achieves a pulverizing heaviness and presents something truly creative and interesting is rare. The debut album, Slake, immediately put Louisiana's Woorms in the same company as their famed contemporaries, Melvins, Neurosis, Mastodon, Godflesh. Creepy and frightening blend of sludge, doom, noise, and atmospheric scapes. And that's from Doomed Nation. So yeah, if you're looking for what I just said that was articulated so well by Doomed Nation, then you should pick up any and all of the albums by Woorms. And yeah, Heather and I only mentioned a couple of the titles that did really good work with puns, but there's a lot more than we just mentioned. So be sure to go back, check those liner notes, and yeah, I miss. I see. I never really. I know. I think this band is from Baton Rouge. But I was that. Am I?
I think so.
Yeah. So when I was there, I rarely left New Orleans. I would go to neighboring parishes sometimes, like Metairie or Kenner, which was sort of in the immediate vicinity. But I never went to, like Baton Rouge or anything like that. So I am not familiar so much with what the rest of the state is like, but I do miss some of the pronunciations that New Orleans had. I specifically remember my freshman year, there was a band that started spelled OIL, but they pronounced it Earl because apparently they heard one of the locals pronounce it that way. So I do miss I do miss some of the interesting pronunciations. Interesting only because being from New York City, you hear things pronounced with like an East Coast style, not the South. Uh, and obviously the food and the music and the atmosphere was incredible.
Yeah, I've never
So
been there.
yeah, well, we'll have to go one of these days.
I just think it's cool that there's a specific that it's so specific that there's Louisiana sludge, which I think is just so cool. I just think
Yeah,
that's so cool, you know?
well, yeah. I mean, like a lot of people. I think will probably. I remember Black Flag was really instrumental in the development of sludge with the album My War. And obviously Melvins, they're from the state of Washington. But really, once you get down into Louisiana, there is just something about the sound. They achieve a unique sound um, that it's hard. It's sort of hard to articulate. It's kind of like I think of. I want to say it was Justice Potter Stewart, but I might be wrong on the name. Who said, "I wouldn't be able to tell you what pornography is, but I know it when I see it." And it's sort of like I don't think I'd be able to tell you what Louisiana sludge is, but I know it when I hear it. It's unmistakable. There's
Yeah.
just something where you can tell regionally, and that is really cool. Like to be able to know that a band is from a specific region based on their sound.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
There's some different regions in the United States that are known for a specific type of music and a specific type of sound. And I just think to me, that's just really awesome,
yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Um,
Just to be known for a specific area and a specific sound, especially when it comes to music, is a really cool thing.
yeah, and I think
Yeah.
Worms does it really well.
Yeah.
Not only do they have the trademark sound, but they're making phenomenal music.
Yeah. 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 I
So,
bet you they're really fun to see live.
yeah, I would have no doubt. And I know I saw, I think on one of the social media platforms that they're going to be touring or playing shows over the next couple of months.
Yeah.
So that's good. I hope if you get the chance to see Worms, let Heather and I know if they're awesome to see live, and
Yeah.
if they make it to the Illinois area or the South Carolina area, perhaps we would check them out in person. But
Yeah.
we'll see.
That would be really fun.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
And it's funny when you mentioned about paying to use the bathroom. When I was in London, they had like I guess kind of like I guess they're kind of like porta potty things, but you have to put coins in it, for the door to open and for you
right.
to use it.
That's what it was that's what this guy saw in France.
That's what it was in France. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It actually was pretty cool the way it worked, you
yeah.
know.
I think it was that was the genesis of the idea that he would have for the show. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Because like when you were finished, it would like clean itself and everything, and then it would be ready for the next person, which
sure.
I thought that was a cool thing to see, you
Yeah.
know. And that was years and years and years ago that I went there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm sure yeah. Who knows? Well, and now this is where I'll take a moment to suggest to everyone watching, where else are you going to hear insight about Louisiana sludge and also commentary about using a bathroom and paying money?
Yeah.
I mean, is there another show
Yeah.
that does that? I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think so either.
I would wager I would wager to suggest that there isn't.
Nah,
and I'm pretty certain.
because there's no other shows that have you on it. So,
Well, pump the brakes there. Us, because we are a specific combination.
yeah,
I tend to go off on tangents that, we'll talk about bathroom etiquette and commentary, but I don't know if I would have brought that up if I was speaking to someone else.
yeah.
So there's a formula here that's at play, and I can't explain it. I take it frame by frame to all you. Wait, I messed it. I just had Naughty by Nature lyrics.
Oh,
I can't explain it. I take it frame by frame to have you all jump and shout with saying it. I think that's what he said. But anyway,
yeah.
that's from the early 90s.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
Yes. Well, I think I had told you this the other day. Um, I read a meme or something where someone said uh, that when we were in high school in the 90s and we would think about the 60s being this other time, which was 30 years ago, now being 2023, it's the 90s or the 60s. And
Yeah,
that just blew having to wrap my mind around that was.
I know. I know. It's it is very hard to get your head around, and it it makes me feel really old. And
Well,
and
go on.
I was gonna say, because people, when we were young, we would think people our age were like ancient,
Yes,
and
it is
now it's
amazing.
like, but I don't feel old. I still feel like I'm like, of course, my brain capacity, like I still feel like I'm in my 20s or 30s.
Sure. But well, we're still doing it well. We're still able to talk about Louisiana sludge and
Yeah,
all those such things, and that's all that matters at the end of the day.
yeah. I haven't lost all my brain capacity, and some of the faculties are still there. So,
Yeah, no, I would say you're doing really well. And there's not even a caveat of all things considered. You were
yeah.
just doing very well.
Oh,
Period.
thank you.
So,
Yeah, thank you.
of course. Well, I think we've exhausted pretty much every conversation we could have about worms, about bathroom visits, about whatnot.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it was cool. Again, I'm more than happy to frolic in whatever genre you want. It was interesting that you went sludge because I wouldn't have seen that coming.
To be honest, I don't listen to a lot of sludge, but
That's
I do like the Melvins and I do like Woorms.
Yeah,
Um,
that's why it was interesting because I would not
yeah,
have thought that this was where you'd be dwelling.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't a lot,
No,
but maybe if I did delve more into it, I could come up with some more
it's
sludge bands that I really like. But yeah, I like how heavy it is.
yeah,
Sometimes sometimes you just want to listen to stuff that's just like really heavy and kind of more fast paced, and you know it's kind of nice
sure.
sometimes
Well,
to.
that if gentlemen and worms, if you're listening to this, you should know that you got Heather to leave her zone of music to
Yeah,
listen to you in a genre that she only rarely visits.
yeah,
So
yeah.
well
That's how
well
much.
done.
Yeah, that's how much this stood out. You know,
There we
it
go.
really stood out.
So if that's not a ringing endorsement, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
But yeah, go check out Worms, and we'll be back next week. with another one for episode number 88. In the meantime, continue to be well. Heather, it's always a pleasure.
Thank you.